You don't even have a non sequitur, Gary Ridgway.
What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Week 6 Picks Against the Spread video for the 2019 NFL season. Congratulations to Setuple for a very, very impressive 13-2 week for Week 5. Good for 86.7%. Setuple's number one, 2 wins better than Little Guy, who was just behind him at 10
Little
wins.
Guy.
A Little Guy. And just behind him, Nasty Nutter. Picked last.
Nasty Nuster.
Picked last, Bo. Titty T 420. Billy 369.
Favorite of the show, Zitvono, E-Steelers.
There we go. So congratulations, Week 5, everybody there. Onto the leaderboard. Overall, we have a tie for first place between Mickey Hill and Setuple.
Setuple rocketing up with just 2 losses and 13 wins this week. And I guess we're in third place with Pick Last just in behind. On to this week, though.
And hold up just a second. We're going to give a shout out to Big Rise, Big Thighs, also known as Titty T.
Yes.
420. For his very impressive 63%. So far, 39, 23, and 0. So congratulations to a Big Rise, a Big Thighs, which isn't far from the truth. We're 44, 33, and 1 for the season. Good for 57.1%. Fat Guy and I are pretty happy with how the season is going so far. And if this is your first time checking it out, remember, you can compete against us, Big Ryan the Fat Guy. Head to our website. The link is also in the description box below. On to Week 6. We'll start on Thursday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. The New York Giants travel to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. Patriots are 17-point favorites at home. 68% of early bettors are on the Patriots. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, the hometown heroes, the faithful, the Big Ryan the Fat Guy family know where I'm going with this. This is a pretty simple one for me. 17 is a large number. I'm going to take the New York Giants for I don't know how many weeks in a row. I've been taking them seemingly since week 2 onward, I feel like. This number is just really large. Public likes the Patriots, as they always do. Even though double-digit dogs have been underperforming this year, there should be some regression to the mean, and I hope it starts with the New York Giants on this Thursday nighter. This number is just too big. That's as simple as that.
And this is a point of contention for the two of us, because I'm not a huge Daniel Jones fan. You love Daniel Jones.
I like him.
Why?
What do you mean, why? The guy throws Danny dimes. He's excellent. Best passer I've seen in preseason as far as rookies go. He had an unbelievable performance against Tampa Bay, which I've highlighted. I mean, they didn't get the win against Minnesota, but it's not for a lack of effort from Daniel Jones. Give me Daniel Jones in a growing pains style game against maybe the best secondary in the league, at least in how they're playing, not necessarily personnel-wise in the Patriots. 17 points is too many. Giants in the points.
17 points is too many. That's a good opportunity for the Giants on Thursday night. Next up, the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to London to play an early game on Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time start. Tampa Bay, the home team, 2.5-point underdogs in London. Only 45% of bettors taking the Bucs. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, it's in London, but I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, normally this is a revenge game, and usually you want to go with the Panthers. The Panthers are hot right now. They're just smoking hot. I've been taking them every week. I've been riding this wave with Kyle Allen, and impressive numbers from Christian McCaffrey, really carrying this team. Not to mention first-round pick Brian Burns scooping up a fumble for a touchdown, which was key to a victory for the Panthers over the Jacksonville Jags, whereas the Bucs fell to Teddy Bridgewater and the New Orleans Saints. This is a do-up, do-down situation with public fading the Bucs just ever so slightly. The spread is 2.5. I think you guys can wait on this one a little bit because the win probability between 2.5, 2, and 1.5 is very minuscule. But if it moves to 3, then it's definitely worth a Bucs buy. So in the contest, we'll be taking the Bucs, but we're going to be looking for the Bucs to move to 3. Give me the Bucs. Give me the points in London.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens are 12-point favorites at home. 41% of early bettors are on the Ravens. Fat Guy, who you got?
I don't really love this game. For contest purposes, we got to go with the Bengals because double-digit dogs, like I said. The line did open at, I believe, 8.5, and it's already moved significantly, meaning that the early bettors really found a hunger for taking the Ravens and laying those points, and I don't blame them. But I think the number has moved pretty much to equilibrium. I would have liked to have taken the Raiders at 8.5 or Ravens at 8.5, but I got Raiders on the brain. But I'm going to be taking the Cincinnati Bengals when it's at 12. It's funny how that works. The way betting works is you'll take any team just as long as the price is right. And the price is right now for the Bengals, but it is a little bit fishy with the public backing them. At least on this Monday night, this could definitely change this percentage. Early line, I definitely would have taken the Ravens, but at 12 points, we have to take the winless Cincinnati Bengals on the road in a divisional game, might I add. And the Ravens, I mean, they did lose to the Browns as 7-point favorites at home in a divisional game. I'm not saying the Bengals are going to win, but 12 points is just too many, it feels like.
Next up, the Seattle Seahawks travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Browns are 2-point favorites at home. Only 28% of bettors are on the Browns. Fat guy, who you got?
This is one of the games I like more than usual. The Browns did disappoint us in this very same situation with a tough opponent coming into their house in the Los Angeles Rams. It didn't get much easier with the Seattle Seahawks, but I think the Browns are going to be able to rebound despite an absolutely dismal performance on this evening. We're filming this on a Monday night, and we are just as disgusted as the rest of you with the Browns' listless performance and lack of mental toughness in the game against the San Francisco 49ers. And then not to mention, this is another great opportunity for a do-up, do-down. Public likes Seattle. Everyone likes Seattle. Seattle wins a thriller against the LA Rams. Emotionally high. Browns are emotionally low. Let's see if we can't level it out with a Browns victory. I like the Browns to win this outright by 3 or more. Give me the Browns, and I'm going to lay the points. And I can't believe I actually feel good about the Browns despite this performance.
Well, it's because of market factors. This is one of those games where this is perfect. If the line goes down, you're going to get a better price. And if the line goes up,
it's a bit tougher. If it goes to 2.5, it's no big deal. But three is where it gets a little bit tricky. Believe it or not, the gap between 2.5, 3, and 3.5 is quite significant. So if it managed to go to 2.5, you probably want to jump on the Browns.
Next up, the Houston Texans travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs at Arrowhead are 5-point favorites. 55% of early bettors are on the Chiefs. Fat guy, who you got?
This is a rare instance where we're going to get to bet the Chiefs, and I'm taking the Chiefs. I like them. Now, there is uncertainty. You're going to say, oh, Chris Jones is hurt. Other guys on the D-line are hurt. The offensive line is hurt. I mean, everyone's hurt. Mahomes is hurt. However, though, I believe in Mahomes' ability to come back. I mean, I could be wrong. The problem is I want to buy now because if good news comes out that's in the Chiefs' favor, then I'm going to have to pay a much higher premium. It could go to 7. I mean, the Texans put up an unbelievable performance, but they're really played against another listless team. I just mentioned the Browns and the Falcons. I mean, there was some hot seat talk, which got shot down quickly by owner Arthur Blank. I mean, I'm starting to put some respect on the Texans' name. They've done a pretty good job, especially that road win I enjoyed against the Los Angeles Chargers and the drubbing of the Atlanta Falcons. But despite putting respect on their name, I still got to take the Chiefs here. This is a rare instance. I want to bet the Chiefs every week, guys. I want to. But 11 points was too many last week, but 5 is reasonable this week. Arrowhead is a tough place to play. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to ice up Sun, as I believe Steve Smith has said in the past. So give me the Chiefs. I'm going to lay the points, and hopefully the injuries and the healing moves in the Chiefs' direction.
Next up, the New Orleans Saints travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Jaguars are 1-point favorites at home. Only 26% of bettors are on the Jags. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, I like this one. Another one I like. Jacksonville. We're going Jacksonville. I've been riding the Saints pony for, I don't know, pretty much since Bridgewater took over. And has Bridgewater disappointed? No, much to the chagrin of some of the haters earlier in this channel who were silenced by Teddy's performances, much like Kyle Allen, who I believe are both undefeated. Gardner Minshew had a lot of hype, but that hype has been quelled despite reasonable performances, but they have resulted in losses, such as the game on the weekend against the Carolina Panthers. Well, McCaffrey and the Carolina Panthers. I like the Jags here, and I think they're going to be able to win this game. It should be closer. It should be kind of a la Dallas and New Orleans, when New Orleans was able to win 12-10, I believe, at home in that, call it defensive thriller. I think that kind of game is kind of set up for this weekend, and I like Jacksonville here. I think Jacksonville's going to win this game, and let's look for some good defense here. I think it's going to be tough for both quarterbacks to move the chains. Jacksonville at home.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites at home. Only 28% of early bettors are on the Vikings. Fat guy, who you got?
I like the purple and gold. Prince would approve from above. I'll be taking the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to lay 2.5 points. I feel like I'm taking favorites a lot here. Not weird. Just a little bit different flavor here. So we're going to lay the 2.5 points. Mostly because like I said, I did mention about the Eagles last week that it was fishy, that 14 points against the Jets. They covered easily. They drubbed the Jets, and they managed to get, I believe, 37 fantasy points on defense, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think I can't even think of one higher than that. Regardless, I'm going to be taking the Minnesota Vikings. They were able to handily put the Giants away on the road. But people have a sour taste in their mouth because they don't have any respect on the Giants' name. I'm going to go back to that idiom. But they do for the Bears. And the Bears handily beat the Vikings at home in a divisional game. These things happen. The Eagles, people are forgetting, didn't have that great a performance against the Washington Redskins in Week 1. They lost to Atlanta. And they won. They beat the Jets. These things happen. I'm taking Minnesota. I'm laying 2.5. Minnesota by a field goal. I would buy now, though, because I could see this some sort of reverse line movement. Because if the line moves from 2.5 down to 2, that's not really a big deal. But if the line moves from 2.5 to 3, then it's a problem. It's a Minnesota pick for the contest and a buy now for bettors. Minnesota laying the points.
Next up, the Washington Redskins travel to Miami for pretty much the Super Bowl for these two teams. Miami Dolphins 3.5-point favorites at home. 69% of early bettors are on the Dolphins. Fat guy, we got this one circled on the calendar. Who you got?
Well, the interesting thing, the reason it's 69% is I think the lines makers maybe made a mistake because it opened at 6 points? I think it was 6.
Like that.
Yeah, we're shooting from the hip here, guys, so you're going to have to bear with us. But I believe it opened as 6-point favorites, the Redskins, which I think was too high. The number I had in my head as the Redskins was Redskins favored by 4, leaving just a tiny gap. I don't love this game. Nobody loves this game. Nobody's going to watch this game. Redskins are going to, they fired their head coach, Jay Gruden, and he'll be replaced with former Raiders head coach Bill Callahan, who's, Bill, don't call me Randy Callahan, who's been in the NFL in some form for quite some time. This is a complete dog's breakfast. I don't even know who the Redskins are going to start at quarterback, considering the coaching change. I'm pretty sure ownership wants to see what they have in Dwayne Haskins. I can't blame them because it's hard to lose a formative year during the rookie contracts, especially for quarterbacks. So I can understand that. But this game could be experimental, not just like me in my basement. So I'm going to take the Redskins, and I'm going to lay the points. And I don't really love this game. I mean, how could you? How could you? As far as a handicap perspective, this game's impossible. Market factors, I think Miami with the 6 points would have made the most sense. But now that it's moved to 3.5, the Redskins I do think are a better football team. I'm going to lay the 3.5 on the road and take the winless Redskins against the winless Miami Dolphins, who did have a bye.
And an interesting tidbit I'm going to throw in here is the market factors for this game are actually a little bit less important because not too many people care about this game. Not too many people
betting
are
it.
Watching.
The public is less invested in this money, especially financially. So the market factors are it's a great point, are definitely at a low. I don't know. You guys flip a coin. I'm just going to take the Redskins. I'm going to take the better defense, and let's go Redskins, I guess.
Next up, the San Francisco 49ers travel to LA to take on the Rams. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites at home. 75% of early bettors are on the Rams. Fat guy, who you got?
Going back to those market factors you'd mentioned, 75% were on the Rams before this game. So I think there's going to be some reactionary money on the 49ers. I'd prefer not to take it at 4.5 because of what I had just said. Since the public money is going to be flowing in on the 49ers, it would stand to believe that the line would probably move from 4.5, maybe down to 3.5. Who knows? It could stay put, but I think that's what's going to happen. I like the Los Angeles Rams. This number doesn't represent the public bias, just because this game had just wrapped up moments ago. I'm going to take the LA Rams because I think they're a better football team. I'm using the same handicapping strategy more or less that I did against the Seahawks. The Rams were able to cover in that instance, but I still think they're significantly better than the 49ers, who are undefeated and have looked quite good, especially in their drubbing against the Cleveland Browns. I don't like laying points all the time. I don't like laying points ever, really. But I'm doing it a lot this week, and I do feel it's justified. Give me the Rams, and I'm going to lay the points.
The Atlanta Falcons travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Cardinals are 2.5-point underdogs at home. 19% of early bettors on the Cards. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, honestly, this is one where we had a little bit of a disagreement here. I do think this game kind of smells weird. I kind of feel like the Falcons are due for a rebound, whereas the Cardinals just got their first win in a road victory in Cincinnati, which kind of got interesting near the end because it was a really late field goal after Cincinnati miraculously tied the game with two consecutive touchdowns. All of that recap being said, we're going to still circle the Arizona Cardinals. If you're betting this game, you're going to want to wait here. You're going to want to try and get 3. Dare I say 3.5. More or less 3 with good juice, I would say, is more likely what's going to happen. I don't really love this game, though. I think the Falcons are more than capable of drubbing them. The Falcons have probably underperformed more than any other team. They're the best 1-4 team, as Big Rye had pointed out. They are talented. They are capable. They do have a quarterback. Their defense is played atrociously, and not just this year, but they had injuries as an excuse last year. I don't know what their excuse is this year. I think the coach should have a little bit of a hot seat. All of this being said, take the Cardinals in the contest. So we're going to circle the Arizona Cardinals, but if you're betting, kind of wait for that line. Hopefully you get 3 with good juice.
Next up for 425 games, the Dallas Cowboys travel to New York to take on the Jets. Jets are 9-point underdogs at home. Only 9% of early bettors on the Jets. Fat guy, who you got?
I'll take the team that hasn't won a game and almost never, I don't think, is covered yet. The New York Jets. I mean, you got to remember, I'm going to get a lot of flack in the comments. How can you take the Jets? They're terrible. Yeah, I know. Just end the season. I get it. However, though, you think the book puts this number out just so they can lose? There's got to be some positivity as far as taking Jets in the points at home. You get 9 points. You get the home. They don't have to win the game. Give me the Jets. Give me the points. And maybe Dallas wins this game. They bounce back from a pretty uninspiring home performance where the Packers more or less blew them out despite what happened at the end of the game. The Packers dominated that game. The Cowboys could dominate this game, but hopefully the Jets defense, at least shows up for this game. I don't know if Henry Anderson's playing. I'm not sure of the status of their free agent linebacker, C.J. Mosley, who feels like he's the crux of that defense. They've played abysmal on offense, but there is a chance that Sam Darnold comes back, Mosley comes back, and this thing just kind of runs into form. If those two things happen, the Jets could even outright win this game. But I'm not expecting that. I just want to cover. That's all I'm asking for. Taking them every week. Give me the Jets. Give me the points.
Next up at 425, the Tennessee Titans travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. The Broncos are 2.5-point favorites at home. 42% of early bettors are on the Broncos. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm jumping on the Broncos. I'm taking another favorite and laying the points. I like the Broncos at home. Playing in Mile High is supposed to be a difficult endeavor. Von Miller hasn't really shown up on the stat sheet, but I feel like his presence needs to be felt, and this is a game to do so. He's going to have an interesting matchup against Tennessee's offensive line, which should be a lot stronger than it's shown. Tennessee got jobbed in that game against Buffalo. I really feel that way, much with their kicker missing 4 kicks, and they're signing a new one in Cody Parkey, I believe, but that's just rumors on this Monday night. Nothing to be confirmed. Broncos have secured their first win, a nice road victory against a Chargers team that has underperformed, much like the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. I like the home field advantage, and the public still isn't buying the Broncos, and I don't blame them because they haven't had success up until this weekend. They'll call it a fluke, but this game should be tight either way in a defensive affair. That being said, I'm going to take the Broncos, and I'm going to take the home field advantage. Broncos laying the points.
Next up for Sunday Night Football, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers 7-point favorites at home. 66% of early bettors are on the Chargers. Fat guy, who you got?
Wow, man. Talk about quarterbacks dropping like flies. That hit was vicious, the one that landed on Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, and he made quite a play.
He did make quite. That was a good play. That being said, the Steelers weren't able to snatch victory in overtime due to a Juju Smith-Schuster, but I'm hoping they can snatch a cover on this Sunday nighter. I'm going to be taking the Steelers, and I guess Devlin Hodges at quarterback. I don't love this game. I clearly don't. And the Chargers, they have very little clout going in. They've performed so poorly this season, but they're laying 7 points, and it's hard to imagine a scenario where they should really be doing that. The Steelers, is there really that big of a drop off between Mason Rudolph and the next man up? Is there really? I'm not sure I'm convinced. They're going to play that power run style. They're going to be using some weird formations. But the Steelers' defense, I think, is the best unit between the teams. Between special teams, offense, defense. I like the Steelers' defense out of everything. Chargers' offense has been mitigated. It's been strong in some points, weak in others. I think the Steelers' defense could be the difference here. I like that the market doesn't favor the Pittsburgh Steelers, but this is really a dog's breakfast. I don't love this game. This won't be a bet for me. But as far as the contest goes, we'll be circling the Steelers on Sunday night.
And on to Monday Night Football, where the Detroit Lions travel to Lambeau to take on the Packers. Packers are 5-point favorites at home. 54% of early bettors are on the Packers. Fat Guy, who you got?
I think 5 points is too many, and we're going to be taking the Detroit Lions in the points. This is a divisional game. This is a heated game. Lions have shown pretty well this season, maybe a little bit above expectation, but the Packers have only one loss against Philadelphia, I believe. All of that being said, I'm going to be taking the Detroit Lions in the points. The Packers showed really well during the afternoon game against the Dallas Cowboys, and that's one of the more watched games. Big Rye, aside from primetime, that probably is the most watched game, I would imagine.
Yep.
Packers and Cowboys, two classic franchises with the Packers just dominating. And the other thing that's going to resonate with the public is that the Packers did it with a run and defense performance. They didn't have to rely on Rodgers, so they think that they might have a complete package here, and I'm sure that they do. The Packers have reason to be optimistic. However, though, in this game, are they really 5 points better than the Lions? I don't think so. This should be a 4-point game. I mean, you're saying, oh, what's the difference of a point? In sports betting, you got to be sharp like a knife, and percentages matter. And the percentages mean there is a small play on the Lions. Take the Lions, take the points. Bet on them, circle them in the contest. Detroit Lions in the points.
All right, Fat Guy, it's on to the lightning round. Let's start off on Thursday Night Football, where the New York Giants take on New England.
Danny Dimes and the Giants.
And then on to London, where Carolina and Tampa Bay play early.
Shaq Barrett and the Bucks.
On to the Sunday morning games, Cincinnati at Baltimore.
Mixon's Bengals.
Seattle at Cleveland.
Garrett's Browns.
Houston at Kansas City.
Tyrann Mathieu and the Kansas City Chiefs.
New Orleans versus Jacksonville.
We're going to have to take Yannick Ngakoue and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Philly at Minnesota.
Dalvin Cook's Vikings.
Washington at Miami.
Who plays on Washington? Washington.
San Fran at the Rams.
Gurley and the Rams.
Atlanta at Arizona.
Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
Dallas at the Jets.
Maybe Darnold and the Jets.
Tennessee at Denver.
Philip Lindsay and the Denver Broncos.
Pittsburgh at LAC.
Devlin Hodges and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Detroit at Green Bay.
I'm going to be taking Detroit Lions with Jared Davis. Thanks for pitching in this week. I really appreciate it.
Compete in the contest below. Link will be in the description, or just check out BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. We got leaderboards. You can make your picks there as well. Fat Guy, you got any closing remarks?
You always get better when you compete, so feel free to compete. Don't be afraid to lose. Don't be afraid to take risks. No one's opinions are better than your own, at least in everyone's mind.
Yep. Well, it's time for me to look up the legal ramifications of what can happen when